Hello participants, I welcome you all and I feel happy to introduce today's resource person Dr. Shalini Thakur. She is Senior Lecturer Applied Sciences and Humanities in Government Polytechnic for Women, Himachal. She has written a book on the self and the Indian women autobiographies. She has 15 years experience of teaching English and communication skills. In this presentation, she will be talking about creative teaching in classroom. She will also discuss the barriers of online teaching and how to remove them and develop creative teaching there too. So let's enter into the creative classroom and enjoy learning.
Hello everyone and a warm welcome in today's faculty development program organized by Dashmesh Khalsa College, Zirakpur on the topic New Pedagogies, Creative Learning and Creative Teaching, a Futuristic Approach. First and foremost, I would like to thank principal, staff, organizers of this Dashmesh Khalsa College, Zirakpur, who has given me this wonderful opportunity to put forth my views on the topic erudition by critical teaching. I am Dr. Shalini Thakur, working as Senior Lecturer, Applied Sciences and Humanities at Government Polytechnic for Women, Kandaghat, District Solan, Himachal Pradesh. What is the objective of this presentation? Just to give you advice on how to do creative and effective teaching, guide you how to create a wonderful environment while imparting education in the classrooms, motivate you how to make the students attentive in the class, and even help you to think more comprehensively on what other things can be done in our routine teaching so that we can excel in the field of teaching. Now let's come to the role of teacher and student. We all are familiar what is the duty of a teacher and what is the role of a student in education system. But apart from those basic roles of teacher teaching and student responding in the form of marks, answering, all those things, what are the other roles that a teacher and student is having? A teacher tries to help the student not only in gaining knowledge, but also simultaneously develop their creative thinking and making them proficient to excel in all the spheres of life. Whereas the student tries to extract the best out of the teacher. Their queries, their questions help the teacher to work even better so that no table of their subject is left unturned. As we have expectations from students, similarly, even they are looking up to certain things from a good teacher. They always cherish and enjoy the teachings of a creative teacher. They want the teacher to create lively environment in the classroom. They expect the teacher to be motivator who motivates all the students for participation. They appreciate and follow the teacher who never categorize the students or judge them on the basis of their marks or level of understanding. Next, I would like to draw your kind attention towards the classroom time management. In any university, college, institutions, schools, we have maximum 1 hour or ranging from 40 minutes to 1 hour time slot for a particular subject in a day. Accordingly, I have taken here as 1 hour as a time allotted for the subject. You can do accordingly as the time allotted for you people. So for 1 hour classroom, I have divided the slots of a class. 5 minutes for talk, 5 minutes for recap, 40 minutes, in 40 minutes, 10 minutes for brainstorming and 30 minutes for subject, that is a topic to be covered on that particular day. Next 5 minutes for discussion and queries related to the subject. and next 5 minutes for assignment or some innovative task related to that subject. So let's come into the detail of these sections. First 5 minutes of your class. Generally, when a teacher enters in the class, he or she takes the attendance, marks the absentees, and very rarely we ask the reason why the students are absent. So our first duty is to ask the reason why they are absent from other students. This shows the familiarity of the teacher, awareness of the teacher towards the students. Then secondly, in these 5 minutes only, talk to the students. What we are going to talk? Either we can ask someone to write some quote on the board and we can discuss that quote. Because when we take the quotes in life, they really motivate us. Be it Hindi or English, choice is yours according to the subject. Secondly, you can talk about any latest incident happened yesterday and get their views. So by doing these two activities or either of these two, you're not just teaching, but you are imparting knowledge. And student will not tag you as a subject teacher. They will say, she's my teacher and she also teaches me English, rather than saying, she is my English teacher. So you'll be tagged as a teacher there, not as a subject teacher. So here we complete our 5 minutes of the 1 hour. The next 5 minutes, recapitulate. We always do it. We go to the class, we take attendance, and we ask the questions of the previous lecture, whether they have done it or whether they remember it. So do not use, we always ask it, but how we should ask from the student, that matters. Choice of words are very important, whatever you speak in the class. So don't say, let me ask you about your previous lecture. Let me ask you about the previous topic. Don't use this statement, because when we use the word ask, we try to judge them on how much they know, and the creativity loses when we keep judging them. Rather than this, substitute it with another statement. Let us discuss about previous lecture. By this, we try to involve the students with us and the feeling of belongingness develops. So from negative sentence, we have shifted to the positive statement. The work is the same, the result is the same, but how we should say it, that matters. So here we complete our 10 minutes. The next 40 minutes are actual duty to teach a particular subject. In that also, I have tried to categorize 10 minutes for brainstorming and 30 minutes for your subject. Now, this 10 minutes for brainstorming session. Whenever we go to the class, we enter the classroom. Generally, most of us are in the habit of writing the topic to be covered on that day on the board. Never to do it in the beginning. Before the brainstorming session, never to write the topic to be covered on the board. Because if we do it, then we are forcing the student's mind to go directly to the topic. Rather, what is the purpose of doing brainstorming? That we should bring their minds slowly, gradually towards the topic. We should draw their attention slowly towards the topic. So if we write the main topic on the board, then the purpose of brainstorming won't be accomplished. For example, if I need to teach a poem named Daffodils by William Wordsworth, a little bit clue about this poem, and this poem is regarding golden color beautiful flowers, a very beautiful poem. Suppose I have to teach this topic. I won't write daffodils on the board in the beginning. Rather, I'll be doing the brainstorming and I'll be writing flower. My brainstorming should be linked with my main topic. So when I'm doing the brainstorming session, I won't say imagine you are golden color flowers. Rather, I will ask the students that tell me some activities of flowers. Or if you want to be a flower, which color you would choose and why. By this way, you are indirectly preparing the student for topic to be taught. So from flower, then we will reach to daffodils. So here we cover our 20 minutes of the classroom. In the next 30 minutes, very important ones, where the main core subject is delivered to the students. We all are masters of our subjects. But then again, there are certain points which should be kept in mind while delivering those 30 minutes. Try to use simple language. If we try to use a very hi-fi language in a class, or accent is somewhat extraordinary, then all the students won't be able to understand. And our main aim is that our speech should reach to the heads of each and every individual sitting in the classroom. Secondly, avoid jargons. Don't use those terms. Jargons means don't use those terms which the students are not familiar with. So try to use those words with which they are familiar. Thirdly, always keep in mind that there are different level of students in the class. Some are intelligent, some are average, some are below average. So when we teach or when we structure our lesson plan, in that case, always keep in your mind the level which is the lowest one, in which language they will understand. Then another thing you should remember, that the time span for understanding varies from student to student. Some are fast learners, they understand very fast. Some are very, very slow. Again, while delivering the speech, look in mind for the slow learners. Then, apart from teaching, keep an observant, you are a teacher, and keep an observant eye on each and every individual sitting in the classroom. You see their facial expressions, and then you come to know how the topic is going, whether they are understanding it or not. Also try to incorporate humor in your topic. That doesn't mean that you crack a joke. But then again, there should be some element of humor. Don't make your classroom teaching monotonous, please. Lastly, do not rush through the topic and try to relate it with different examples of day-to-day life. When we are in a haste, we are not able to give 100%. And when we are not able to give 100%, how we can expect 100% of understanding from the side of students? Now, how we will incorporate all these things? Another example, a beautiful poem, All the World is Stage by William Shakespeare. And in this poem, there are 7 stages of human being discussed. Infant, schoolboy, lover, justice, soldier, justice, old age and very old age. And if we come to the first stage, the line says, and then the infant mewling and puking in nurse's arms. As an English teacher, I would just give them the meanings of these words, explain them the meaning of the line. What does the word mewling means? What does the word puking means? But if I need to be a creative teacher, I can ask them, imagine when you were born. Can anyone share their experience of being when they were born? Though we don't remember our memory of that time, but we remember it in the form of photographs or some narrations narrated by our parents to us, how we were born and how we behaved. So that can add creativity in the class. Yeah. Participation will be 100% in such a case. Suppose if I want to add humor to the same thing, then I can put a question that can you tell me when you were born, which was the first physical contact with your body? They'll say probably, most probable answer is, my mother must have touched me first, or my father must have touched me first. But then you can tell them that no, doctor and nurse was the first one to touch you because they were the first one to give you a pat on your back so that your throat gets clear. And this will bring smiles on their faces. So your mother is not the crime of beating you or hitting you. The doctor or the nurse is the first one to give you one back on your tight one on your back. So here, this is the way how we create humor in the class of the same thing. So here we complete the 50 minutes of our lecture. The next 5 minutes. Obviously, in these next 5 minutes, again, we are going to discuss what we have taught in the 30 minutes. But when we generally, the first thing what we say is, Please go through the material. If anything is not clear, ask me. In this statement, we try to act superior and we do not participate equally with them. Rather than saying this statement, we should say, please put forth your queries. Maybe we can solve them. Let's try to solve your queries. So when we say this, it means that we try to explain what they have not understood and they are not inferior to us, or we are not superior to them. Second common statement which we use in the class is there any doubt regarding any topic? Here again we question their level of understanding. Again a negative statement. Please replace this with, is everything clear? Here we treat them equal to us. So the same thing, we are asking them whatever the matter is not clear to them, they can ask us, but we are telling them in such a way that it is no longer a negative statement, but we have shifted it to a positive one. Similarly, if some student raises a question that he or she has not understood one particular section, don't repeat that section again with the same example of that 30 minutes. Try to change the example now. Try to explain them with some other viewpoint, because your first one was a failure. They were not able to understand with that one. So always give different example or different explanation for the topic which they have not understood. So here we cover up 55 minutes and let's move forward to the last 5 minutes of the lecture. In this, you try to assign them some work related to that topic. Now the homework. How we give the homework? It can be in the form of some assignment related to it. We can ask them to do some activity or task, or we can also ask them to do a role play on that topic. For example, the same poem I'm taking, All the World a Stage, and if I want to give them assignment, I won't ask them, suppose my question is, tell me the central idea of the poem. I won't say, write the central idea of the poem, All the World a Stage. My question should be, bring key points to the class next time for discussion. What are the key points of central idea? So they will bring the points and then we can frame it in the class. You're not dictating them, neither you're giving them individual work, but you are making them think. And when we think on a particular subject, when we brood on a particular subject, the clarification of that particular topic is an excellent one. So you ask them to, in the class, you try to discuss those things. Second, you can say that, ask them to collect pictures of the, if you want to give activity, ask them to collect the pictures of the infant, the school stage, but the stages which they have not encountered as yet, they can assume what they want to be. You can ask them in the old age, they want, which iconic figure would they like to be and why. For example, you can say, one of them can say that they want to be like Amitabh Bachchan. So there again, you have created another good environment in the class. Or you can also give them the role play assignment on any particular stage, because role play, when you lead those roles, then the level of understanding increases. So in these, here we complete our 60 minutes of classroom teaching. Apart from this, what other things we can do in the classroom teaching? We can go for the spin board in a class. What we are going to do in this spin board, we are not going to mark the achievements of any student in this, because then only few will be on the board and rest will not be there. This board should be the space for everyone. Every student should place one stick note on the board in the beginning of the class or the year or semester, and they will write what they know about that subject, what they're good at in that particular subject. For example, in the yellow stick note, they can say, one can say that she's good in grammar. In the pink stick note, another student can write, I'm good at, say, communication skills. In the another stick note, student can write, I'm good at, say, literature section. Slowly, when you start teaching them in the class, a student realizes, oh, I'm not only good at grammar, I'm good at communication also. Teacher appreciated me. And the mindset changes there. Now, earlier they were the master of one, now they're the master of two. So they again tell the student to monitor it. The student will go there and they will stick note on the previous one. Now they will have 2 notes of one student. And this should be monitored by the students only. Teacher should only have a look whenever the notes increases and should discuss it in the class. So in the end, teacher will also feel delighted. See, earlier it was this, and now they have reached to this, and the student also feel nice that, oh, now I don't just know, I'm not confident about one thing. I know so many things in English language. Apart from this, other points to make your classroom teaching creative. Rewards are very important because they motivate the students from time to time. You can take small rewards, or you can take say materialistic rewards, or your words are the biggest reward for the students. They feel motivated whenever someone appreciates a student. The student always remembers this teacher appreciated me in the class. So those rewards are very important. Another important thing is when you return their tests, when you return their assignments in the class, there also you can grab the chance of motivating the students. While announcing the marks, either we say the name of the toppers first and the one who has scored lowest in the last, or we tell the name of the failures first and the toppers in the last just to create a thrill, or there can be some variations to do the creativity. Always tell the name of those who have improved first. If we do so, in such a case, they will feel, the improved students will feel happy to hear their names in the beginning. The teacher has observed us, they have seen our improvement. They feel very happy and delighted. Then you can say the name of the toppers. What happens if we say the name of the toppers in the beginning? Of course, the one who is scoring the highest mark is feeling delighted. But if we say the name of those who have improved in the later section, their happiness is subdued by the toppers, by the names of the toppers. So they won't be able to enjoy that much. They won't realize the teacher has really worked hard on seeing our improvement. So in this case, first you say the name of those who have improved. Then secondly, you can say the name of the toppers. Thirdly, you can say the name of those students who have maintained their positions. And then you can talk about the average ones. Lastly, the fifth point, very important, because your entire teaching, your entire structure of lesson plan relies on these students. You should always keep this fifth number in mind. Last of those who have not performed well. Never to discourage them. Don't say very poor, bad performance, need to work hard. Always try to change it into a positive one. So can do better, capable of doing much better. So those who scored lowest, they'll realize, no, the teacher really is holding some trust in us and we can do it. So you try to raise their morale in such a case. So next, we come to online education. We all are familiar with online education now. COVID-19 has brought us into this forum of online education, and we never even thought that one day we'll be teaching our students through online education system. And the biggest example that we have excelled in this particular field is that you all are sitting at your homes and enjoying this seminars, this FDP. So I must congratulate that you all are good in online education. That's why you are able to do it. But there are certain aspects which again we will keep in mind to make it more interesting. There's no scope, there's no end to learning. So it is a vast aura and we should go and delve more into it. So first we need to know what is being missed in online teaching. Students miss the passion on the face of the teacher while they're teaching in the classroom. Similarly, the teachers, they miss the feedback given by the students, though in the terms of facial expression, nodding of head, or even in some cases in written form too. Then what are the drawbacks of online teaching? The first drawback is the physical presence of both the student and the teacher together in a classroom is badly missed. We are not physically present and face to face in front of everyone. In online classroom, face-to-face communication is there, but we don't do it together with everyone. We are able to focus on 2 to 3 students at a time. Though they all can see you, but you can't see everyone. So that physical connection is missed. Secondly, the environment. Classroom is having a very proper environment apart from those aspects when the student make noise. We don't say it is a peaceful environment, but yes, proper structure is there of a building that students need to focus rightly in the front on the blackboard. Proper chair table is there. We all have that on our homes also, proper chair table. But sometimes we sit on the bed also. So environment is being missed. And thirdly, very important for students, companion. Teacher always goes inside the class all alone and comes out all alone. But for the students, their partner is very important. If one friend is not going to the college, another don't even feel like attending the class. Why? Because then the habit has been formed of sitting along with their friend only. The next thing which they badly miss is their particular bench on which they used to sit in a class. Some students enjoy being the backbenchers, while some prefer only the first row. And it is not that those who sit in the back, those who are the backbenchers or those who sit in the last, they don't study. Sometimes we see the topper emerging from the last benches. So the seat on which they used to sit, their fixed seats are being missed. The next is distance as a barrier. In this case, we are physically far apart from each other. Though internet has made us feel that the other person is in front of us or we can hear the sound, we can see a person, but physical distance is there. So that hampers the online teaching. Then last, communication is not complete. Now, what I mean by communication? Sender sends the message to the receiver and receiver gives the feedback to the sender. Here I take sender as a teacher. Teacher teaches as a message to the receiver. Receiver is your student. And student nods the head, say, yes, ma'am, I have understood. And they give this feedback to the sender. And the sender is the teacher. Now, how this communication is not complete in online? Sender is giving the message. Teacher is giving the message to the students. All the students are not listening to it. All the students are not present. All the students are not even receiving the message. And those who are receiving it, all of them are not giving the feedback to the sender. So this, in online, we cannot do a complete communication until unless we motivate them. We make our class so interesting that they tend to attend it. Then there are certain threats of online teaching. Say, flexibility. Students are very flexible in this case. If we have rules and regulation in colleges, institutes, classrooms, here there are no rules. They are flexible. They can mute their audios, though we tell them, mute your audios, but keep your videos on. Still, they can mute everything. They can close everything. And we can't even mark them absent because we can see their name still online. So this is the flexibility with the students. Second biggest threat, that they are being watched continuously by their parents at homes. And then the comparison level starts there. In the classroom, parents are not watching them, how they're behaving and how they are sitting or how they're answering or responding. At homes, parents can easily judge where the child is falling in the class. Many times parents are seen complaining that to their children that you are not answering as the other are answering to the teacher. You are inattentive. You're not paying attention. So that threat is continuously on their mind. Then another thing is the speed breakers. Online teaching definitely see the speed breakers in the road. How? Because when we share our screen, the flow of teaching breaks. And suppose we have to do the chatting also, then also it breaks. If some students are joining late, then also the communication breaks. So these are all things. Some are in our hand, some are not in our hand, some are due to the net connection, but these all hampers the flow of the teaching. Then loss of attention. We don't even know when the student has lost his or her attention in online teaching. Whereas in the class, we can always pinpoint, you're not paying attention, or my dear, you are lost somewhere. Or let us discuss where are you roaming, if you want to add it in a humorous way. But over here, we cannot even judge that the student is not present mentally in the class. Then there are excuses from their side. For example, I joined late because there was a network problem. You all must have listened to this one many times. Or, ma'am, your voice is breaking. They won't even let you speak. Ma'am, your voice is breaking. And, ma'am, there was no electricity, so I was unable to send my work. Plenty of. Some are excuses, some are realities, but then again, we can't punish them on the basis of these excuses, or we can't do anything about that. We just have to listen to it and be patient with it. Then another very biggest threat is that online education is asynchronous. That means all students are not present at the same time, and classroom activities are not created in reality. All the students, they are not there at the same time. Like I told you, the communication breaks. Now, number of students also matters. If you have a less number, it is okay, it is easy. 20 to 30, you can manage. If you have a bigger number of 60 to 70, it is tough. So don't take, we should not have bigger numbers in the online teaching. We cannot manage with every student. Then you're just delivering the lecture and completing your course. And then lastly, the difference in the level of students related to use of technology. Many of them are well versed with the use of technology. And many of them are still not very fast in doing it. So we see someone are very fast in downloading the app and even sharing the information. And some are very slow. They can download, but they don't know how to use it. So the difference in the level of students related to the use of technology is also a threat. Then what are the challenges of online classes? To make it as interesting as a physical classroom, to motivate them to participate in online classes, to establish the connection between the physical classroom and online teaching. The only solution to make it interesting is that it should be like as the physical classroom. Now, I have drawn the structure of online teaching, and I feel that online teaching is not a single thing which we can do. It doesn't exist independently. We need to have WhatsApp group, which is the base. If we want to conduct online classes, we need to have the WhatsApp group, which is the base. And through these online classes, we need to have the evaluation also. So base of this online teaching is WhatsApp group. Online classes and online evaluations are linked to this base of WhatsApp group. Now, working of a structured online class. Firstly, you need to frame one group on WhatsApp of your subject. Don't let it be one group for all the subjects, because in that case, student can lose the information of some subjects. So what else we can do? We can frame a group of one particular subject. In the WhatsApp group of your subject, guide the students about which app to download and how to download, and work on it rather than just telling them to download the app and join the class. In the WhatsApp group, ask them to confirm their knowing the app thoroughly so that you can schedule your class. Now, how we do the scheduling the class in WhatsApp group. If I want a class to take place next Monday, I should schedule it 1 week earlier. And in this also, again, I'll give the message in chunks. I'll not give them the complete message so that my students are daily involved in the WhatsApp, leaving after 1 to 2 days gap, and they can focus. Slowly, I'm bringing them closer to me through this WhatsApp group. Suppose I want a class on the next Monday. On this Monday, I'll post a weekly announcement that I'll be conducting a class next week, and you can tell the topic on which you'll be conducting. Then give them the gap of 2 days and say on Wednesday, you can tell them that you have fixed this date in the next week for the class. Then again give them the gap of 2 days. Then say on Friday, tell them the time for the class. And then on next Saturday, after 1 day, send them the link of the meeting scheduled. And on Sunday evening, by the time of evening, just give them a gentle reminder of tomorrow's class. Why we have done this in chunks? The question must be in your mind. Why can't we just go and give it once? The complete information. Because the communication is not complete, we're giving it in chunks. Why? Because we want to keep our students engaged for a full week and give them small information so that they don't miss anything about the message. Then what are the effective online teaching? The most important is discipline. Keep a fixed time for your class, no matter what happens. Don't change the time. Since all are at home these days and atmosphere is a little bit relaxed, it is not that disciplined as we have in schools, colleges and institutes. So here, instead of say 8 o'clock sharp you'll have your class, or at 9, give them a little bit relaxation. Okay, 10, 10:30, but time should be fixed. There will be no changes in the time. Then while conducting the online class also, just don't start off with the class immediately. Don't look at the 40 minutes or 45 minutes and start rushing through the syllabus. No. First 5 minutes should be given as the joining time. Now, how we manage this online teaching? A little bit structure about that. In the first 5 minutes is the joining time. 30 minutes, 5 minutes for brainstorming and 25 minutes for your subject. The next 5 minutes for discussion and queries related to the subject. And next 5 minutes assignment related to the subject. Let's go step by step. First 5 minutes. In the first 5 minutes of your teaching, you have to do the following things. This is the joining time for students. Take a glimpse of every student who has joined and give them the instruction to mute their audio, but keep their videos on. Also direct them to change their name by going to participants. When you scroll through the names, participants' names, sometimes we see the names of the devices like Samsung, Oppo. You can always say that I don't remember any Samsung or Oppos in my class. You can add humor to that also. So kindly change your names so that I can see those familiar names which I have already seen in the classrooms. After that, in that 5 minutes only, you can say good morning to everyone and don't ask them to wish you individually. You tell them the new style of wishing. Tell them to wish only through the video, not through the audio, by using body language element. Like in this image, she's greeting and she's not saying anything from her mouth. But we can see the Namaste, Indian form of greeting. And there we come to know. We can't say hi. We could have taken hi. But hi to the teacher is something absurd. So Namaste is a better way of greeting or bowing down. So in this way they can greet. This is the first 5 minutes. In the next 5 minutes, ask the students, if you're audible, they have to answer again by using body language element. Sometimes we ask the students in morning, am I clear? Is my voice clear? The student asks them only to give the thumbs ups, like in this image. Just to show the thumbs up, which means everything is okay. Then you can do the brainstorming session after that. In this, we'll do the small brainstorming session, not a bigger one like in the classroom, since we don't have that much time there. You can ask them to raise hand or click the raise hand option, or uh, or in the chatting section, they can say, I want to answer on this brainstorming session, and direct them that they will unmute only when the teacher will tell them. Because when they unmute themselves, the voice cracks and the barrier occurs in online teaching. So here we complete our 10 minutes. Next, we come to 30 minutes of actual teaching. When we teach here is where we are going to teach the topic. When we share the content, many times we have faced, I don't know how many of you must have faced, but many times we have faced such situations when students are making smileys, they are troubling you on the screen, they are making stars. In that case, don't scold them. Don't say that you'll be removing them from the class. Add humor and say, we can discuss it in the last 5 minutes. We can see your stars and your smileys. Or thank you, I know I'm progressing well. So you can add humor instead of warning, because we are totally at the mercy of the students and we can't force them. Next, you have to handle all the excuses or the problems. If they give you the excuses or if they tell you about the problems, all you have to do within this 30 minutes only. You have to help them to manage with the connection. While teaching, in the middle, you can randomly select any student to answer. This will keep them attentive in the class. We can, if suppose I'm teaching body language or if I'm teaching personality development, I can see any student and say, praise her that her body language was excellent. See her body language. This is your body language. This is what am I talking about. How we should sit straight, with which posture we should sit. By doing so, many others will be motivated to keep their videos on. Then if there is some query, if it is a small one, you can respond there itself in the 30 minutes. If it is a long one, we can share. You can tell them that we can discuss it in the WhatsApp group or personal calls. Here we complete the 40 minutes of online class. The next 5 minutes. In the last 5 minutes of a class, you can tell them the assignment related to the topic which they have to cover. And then you can tell them, those who have understood, they may leave the class, and those who want to discuss, they can stay back for these 5 minutes. And accordingly, you can solve the problems, those who have stayed behind. And remember, you should be the last one to leave and end the class. In physical classrooms, teacher is the last one to enter inside and the first one to leave. But in online classroom, you should be the first one to enter and the last one to leave. Then activity after this class in WhatsApp group. Post a quick video to clarify misconception about the topic, if any. If suppose there is some doubt about some topic, student has raised a query and you said you'll be sharing it on WhatsApp group, small video to explain it. And if we have to do some assignment, first tell them how to do it and don't make the assignment monotonous. Try to bring variation in the assignment. For example, one, you can ask them to upload the screenshots of the written work on whatever app you're choosing, say for Google Classroom. The next time you could ask them, please make PDF files and then accordingly submit their assignment. Thirdly, you can ask them type assignment on your email IDs. Or you can ask them to upload small videos of 2 to 3 minutes about the topic. So we are gradually preparing them. We are making them familiar. If we ask them to make videos in the first go, or if we ask them to send us the typed assignment as PDF files, then it would be tough for them. So in this case, the student will be familiar with the apps we are using, and they will also, the assignment will not be monotonous. Then another very important thing, give the date of the assignment to the student and also the date of returning the grades or the marks. Generally, we always tell them this is the deadline for submitting the assignments, but we never tell them what is our deadline of returning them. If a teacher tells them the deadline of returning the marks, the student comes to know that we have only this much slot, and after this teacher will not be checking the work, so they'll be more attentive. Then there are certain don'ts of WhatsApp group. Do not start the message by saying many of you were absent, or many of you were inattentive, or the number was very less in the class today. Don't give those negative remarks. You can say it was wonderful class and many of you managed to join it. I hope rest will also manage to join next time. In such a case, if we use such a statement, Those who have joined, they feel happy. Yes, we were there and their class went well and the teacher is really happy with the class. Those who were physically present there but they were mentally somewhere else, they'll feel that they must have missed something important in the class. The teacher is so happy and the students are also happy. And those who have not attended the class, they'll feel that, oh, something wonderful has happened and we have really missed it. In all the three cases, they will definitely, the number of the students will increase next time in your class when you give such a positive statement in the WhatsApp group. So in the end, the conclusion says the student can misguide you, they can trouble you, but you need to handle all the things patiently. Scoldings will make them lose the effectiveness or creativity, be it online or physical classroom. And lastly, feel free to ask your colleagues to help out with any problem if you face. You can learn anywhere from anyone. In the end, I would like to summarize and finish with this presentation by saying, remember, if you enjoy your teaching, your students will enjoy their learning too. Thank you very much from the core of my heart for listening to me, and I hope there's some changes will be there in the creativity of your teaching. Thank you so much.